Were you
Take it
excited when you
easy.
heard the news last night that baseball is back, or were you kind of like, what was your first reaction, Chris?
That this should have happened like a month and a half ago. I mean, in reality, I don't know if the commissioner who did a horrible job managing both sides of the fence right now. I know he works for the owners and he's trying to help them out. But if he saw this going down this road, he should have just done like an executive order and just done like a 75, 80 game schedule and just gotten the ball rolling, because we all know what's going to happen in the long run. And after 2021 and the CBA is out, is expired, that there's just going to be a bloodbath when it comes to the players and the owners. So he should have just taken it into his own hands. We should be ending spring training right now, and we should have had a 4th of July weekend start, because what better way of having fireworks than with a Pete Alonso home run?
All right, TK, what was your first reaction last night?
Well, I mean, I agree with Chris. This should have happened a month and a half ago, honestly. The fact that it was so drawn out and it was such a battle between the players and the owners, it's going to come back and strike us later. But for me, it was looking at the updated rules. What really got me was starting on second base in extra innings. I mean, you had a guy like Fred Toney throw a 10-inning no-hitter. What if you have a guy like Jacob deGrom, who notoriously gets no run support from the Mets, take a perfect game into the 10th, give up 2 pop flies, and theoretically able to throw a perfect game and lose by a 1-0 margin? So some of the rules I'm not okay with, but I'm happy to see baseball coming back. But still, a 60-game season, it's enough to arouse the appetite without betting it back down.
Manny, what was your first reaction last night? Manny texted me. He goes, Carl, are we doing a segment?
Oh, my God. Dude. I mean, it's been, 6 months practically? Even before the whole COVID thing, I was nervous about it. I was even talking to my father and a couple of fellow people in the Sports Hitlers group about, is baseball going to start on time? I had tickets to the Yankees versus Blue Jays. I was actually getting to see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. play against us. And game was canceled. Obviously, a lot of things happened. Constant back and forth. One thing in baseball is nothing's guaranteed in baseball, as we saw here. So it took a couple months. We're finally here, so I'm excited. What I love about this now, with this season being shortened, is anybody's game. You don't know who's going to make it to the playoffs. It could be the low bottom teams that nobody expected. They can go on a quick 30-win season or something like that, and they can still make it to the playoffs. It's anybody's game at this point. So you can't. So Vegas, if you go and bet with them, you got to go with different teams. You can't just. I mean, you can stick with your Mets, of course, but I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm a little nervous about this because a shortened season, you never know what's going to occur.
Mm-hmm. Chris, can you tell the fans your fun fact? When was the last time you missed a Mets home opener?
1980. My first one was 1989 when I was 6 years old. So,
and you haven't missed one since?
Not one.
Wow.
And
wow.
I mean, unfortunately, this year, it's out of my hands, but I'm not going to count it.
All right.
Unfortunately, there's going to be an asterisk next to my name.
So that means you'll just tell your daughters that we just skipped over that year, like 2021 didn't happen.
unless they win the World Series, 2020 never happened.
Okay, all right. So we saw some rules, and I was looking at some of the new rules and the changes, and I was talking about this with Chris. No licking, no spitting, no touching, no yelling, and a player has to be on second base to start in extra innings. What are your thoughts about these new rules and these COVID or social distance rules of baseball? Chris?
I get it. I'm not a big fan of it, especially the licking thing. Like, you can only have water on a rag in your back pocket. I mean, come on, who's going to be the first one to have a scentless kind of sticky substance that's going to be on there that's going to help their breaking ball break another couple inches? I mean, there's going to be people that are going to be cheating the system right from the get-go. But also, I mean, the second base, the guy on second base, I mean, we should have turned this into slow pitch softball and also have a 1-on-1 count, because it's not baseball. I mean, like DK was saying, I mean, you have a sacrifice bunt and a sac fly, and there goes your game. I mean, even if you have the bases, even if you have like Mike Trout starting an inning at the bat, you intentionally walk him, then you're first and second and no out. Well, what pitcher deserves that? And also, you have to remember that there's a 3-batter minimum per pitcher. So you can't even have a matchup out there. You just have to pray to God that the person you're out there just kind of figures his way out of the situations. And also, the most disgusting one, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, is the universal DH. That's not baseball. It's not baseball. I mean, players hitting, Bartolo Colon hitting home runs, that's baseball. I mean, it's just, the designated hitter has no place. I understand that it creates another job for a human being, and I get that, and I'm all for giving people jobs, but in the traditional way of thinking about baseball. It's just not the right way.
Manny, what are your thoughts on the new rules?
I explained it to you before, but honestly, I don't like the runner on second base. Honestly, I really don't. I mean, I spoke to Greg about it regarding it, and he gave me a good view on it, which actually does benefit and works out in a way. But again, it's like what Tom said earlier. You know, DeGrom pitches 10 straight innings, going to extra innings, gives up 2 pop flies. Now they're down 1-0 or whatever. And then what happens? They lose. And he loses a perfect game or so. So it screws the pitcher, but it also puts a lot of pressure on the pitcher as well. The universal DH, I don't like because I always love to see pitchers hit a home run, even go for the long ball. I mean, I was hyped about Bartolo hitting one out. It's funny. I can't hate on him. I'm a Yankee fan, and I hate the Mets from certain fans, okay? I still go to the games just to watch it.
Listen, be careful because Chris might ask for your address over there, buddy.
Hey, send it, bro. I'm here. What's going on? But yeah, overall, I'm just excited for baseball. I mean, the new rules, hopefully, is only for the regular season. I know a lot of people are not going to like these new rules, but we might have to adjust.
The runner on second is only a regular season rule. It does not apply in the postseason.
Oh, thank God.
Okay.
But that's like going back to the way the old football overtime rules used to be. You could have a team win by a field goal. That always felt cheap. And I think any wins coming with a guy starting on second base is going to feel cheap. And like Chris said, a pitcher has to face 3 guys. So you're throwing a guy out there, extra innings, man on second base, and praying he can get through 3 guys. That's not baseball. Baseball is an analytical, it's a thinking man's sport. It takes a lot of thought. It takes matchups. I really like baseball for what it is. You don't have to make it more exciting. If you want a more exciting sport, go watch hockey or basketball. Baseball has exciting moments, and those moments build throughout a game. And that's what baseball is, and you don't mess with that. I don't care what the game times are. I don't care if the networks want the game shorter. Leave baseball alone. It's fine as it is.
I asked this question back in April when we did when baseball would come back segment. And I'm going to be consistent because I love being consistent with this question. Did we forget about the Astros? Given everything that's happened over the last before COVID hit, before we had protests, the narrative going into the baseball season where the Astros were the villain and people were paid to see and this was going to save baseball. Now we know baseball is coming back for 60 games. Is that still the narrative? TK?
Well, like Manny said, it's a 60-game season, so anyone could do anything. You've had teams get off to really hot starts. Look at 2019. If this is a 60-game season, Washington Nationals never even make the playoffs. So it's a different kind of season. Are the Astros still the villains? Yeah, but I think now they've been alleviated a little bit of that because people are just excited that baseball is coming back. It's not so much, oh, we really hate the Astros. It's just like, oh, we're at least getting a 60-game season. So are they as much of the villains as they were? No, I don't think so. But I don't think it'll be forgotten once we start playing. Still, I don't think you're going to see pitchers throwing at them as much.
Manny, I know how you feel about this. Are they still the villain or did you forget? Manny, did you forget?
Wow. Oh, no, I got the trash. Where's the trash can at? You got to bang the trash cans and stuff when the Astros are batting. You know, they are going to be a villain, but again, like Tom said, they're not really the main focus of baseball. Baseball's back. We get 60 games. We lose 102 games. So there's nothing else that we can bring into it, honestly. I mean, I would love to see the Yankees win, but guess what? Any team can win it. Again, in baseball, nothing is guaranteed. Nothing.
Okay. Chris, what are your thoughts? Are the Astros still going to be a narrative, or is that all well and forgotten?
From whenever COVID started in March until July, the end of July when the season starts, people are going to forget about the Astros. In the first game of the regular season, when Jose Altuve is up and they throw Sweet Chin Music his way, everything's going to be unfolded. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, this again. Okay, yeah, we hate you. You guys are the worst. You know? You at least take out the recycling. But it's just, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Once the blood, sweat, and tears of the season gets going, there'll be a couple pitches here and there. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, up until the first game of the regular season, everyone forgot.
All right. Final question here before I let you guys go is, and I asked this in the NFL, expectation. What do you expect? Are guys going to be rusty? Or are guys going to be ready to play? The dynamic of not having fans, what are we expecting from the 2020 baseball season, Chris?
I think the hitters are going to be at a disservice here because the pitchers, I mean, even if they only go 5 innings, I mean, think about how long do you need your timing to catch like a 95-mile-an-hour fastball or a breaking ball that buckles you? I mean, I feel like this is going to be a year of the pitcher because of that. And I feel like teams that are going to succeed in this, because there's 60 games in 66 days, are the young teams with good bullpens. Those are the teams that are going to succeed. I wouldn't have no surprise to me if like a team like the Padres all of a sudden made a deep run just because they're young, they fresh legs, and they just built a really nice, quiet team over there. And like, Manny's Yankees, unfortunately, I mean, they're just loaded top to bottom with that star-studded bullpen. I feel like if you have that and you don't abuse your bullpen in the regular season just to make it into the playoffs, you'll be fine. I mean, those teams are going to be the ones that are going to be forced to be reckoned with.
TK, do you have any expectations for the MLB season, or are you just kind of like with the going with the whim?
Well, I mean, I like what Chris said. Teams with good bullpens, young teams, 60 games, 66 days are going to have an advantage. The Nationals were one of the older teams. I keep mentioning them last year, and they were able to do it. But I think this year we'll see a younger team. Also, I think you'll see pitchers go deeper into games because there's 60 games. You're not going to get your regular 30 to 32 starts. You're only going to get maybe 10 or 12 starts. So I think you're going to see starting pitchers, they're going to let them go a little deeper, let them pitch a little longer. And I think it will be the year of the pitcher. And whoever has a fast start will have undoubtedly a advantage for the rest of the season. It'll be a season to remember. It'll be a very interesting season, but I think we do put that big fat asterisk next to the 2020 season.
Manny, the Yankees win the World Series this season will be one to remember, right? That's the goal. What are your expectations for the season?
Majority, if the Yankees win the World Series in 2020, not only is it a big asterisk for the supposed baseball fans and all the Yankee haters, especially in the sports hit list, I will be at that parade regardless. But honestly, I mean, I see it as a dark horse. I see the Mets making it to the playoffs, even the World Series.
Don't say that as a Yankee fan because don't say that because you're gonna jinx them. Don't say that. Yankee fans are not supposed to give compliments to Met fans.
You know why? Because at the end of the day, I love baseball. Baseball is number one to me.
Yeah.
Yankees are right there with me. Yankees are my team regardless, and I'm always gonna expect the Yankees to make it to the World Series every year. Obviously, it's not always gonna be like that. But again, with this shortened season, yes, we have a great bullpen. We have like 8 closers. So 8 of the top 20 closers, if anything, if that's the case.
But you have a great fantasy baseball lineup.
Yeah, exactly. Just the only issue I have though is going to be the hitters. The hitters are going to have a lot of issues. I mean, look at Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge has been nursing this injury for this oblique strain that he had in his ribs and everything for 3 months? I was at the game last year when he got hurt. So it kind of sucks. But yeah, you got Christian Yelich coming back from a major injury. So we got to see how he does. You have all these other players. It's going to affect the players. And again, I agree with Tom saying that it's going to be a pitcher's season regardless. And I will honestly be interested to see who comes out on top of the Cy Young winner.
Do I have enough time to ask just a question?
Yeah, real quick, because we got like 2 minutes. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, so why is this champion getting an asterisk? I mean, think about it. In 1981, they had that weird season with the first half and the second half, and the Cincinnati Reds, who had the best record in all of Major League Baseball, didn't even make the playoffs. But nobody puts an asterisk next to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Why would this season get an asterisk? Because I believe it should not. Because if you win it, you win it, no matter if it's 60 or 162.
Well, it's a whole different rules. You're changing all the rules. If these rules are to stay, then maybe it doesn't get an asterisk. But if this is the only season where we play with universal DH, where we start with a man on second base in extra innings, and all these other rules, no spitting, you can't touch, empty fans in the stadiums, all these things are different, and next season it goes back to normal, then 2020, not just the champions, but the whole season you put an asterisk on there. The champions are still the champions. They played the same rules everyone else played. I'm not saying put an asterisk on the champions. I'm just saying when you talk about the 2020 season, these things have to be talked about.
Listen, okay. I kind of agree with Chris to wrap up because given the circumstances, you play within your circumstances. It's not your fault that COVID hit. So why would we have to put an asterisk on it? Because it's, again, you're playing within the rules. You're playing with, because of the social distancing rules, you have to change it.